In a cozy hollow of an ancient oak tree lived a gentle owl named Ollie. His feathers were as soft as whispered wishes, colored in warm browns and creamy whites that reminded everyone of fluffy clouds at sunset. Ollie loved nothing more than the peaceful moments when day turned to night and the world became quiet and still. As the sun slowly dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in soft purples and deep blues, Ollie awakened from his peaceful daytime slumber. He carefully preened his downy feathers, making them extra fluffy and perfect for his nighttime flight. The evening air was warm and gentle, carrying the sweet scent of blooming moonflowers. From his perch in the old oak tree, Ollie watched as the first stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky. They looked like tiny diamonds scattered across a velvet blanket, each one twinkling with its own special light. The moon, round and full, cast a soft silver glow over the sleeping forest below. Tonight, Ollie decided to explore some of his favorite peaceful places in the forest. His wings, specially designed by nature for silent flight, carried him smoothly through the cool night air. Each wing beat was as quiet as a falling leaf, allowing him to glide like a gentle cloud across the star-filled sky. First, Ollie visited the peaceful meadow where wild grass swayed softly in the evening breeze. The tall grass looked like waves in a silver sea under the moonlight, moving back and forth in a gentle dance. Little field mice scurried below, their movements as soft as whispers in the quiet night. Near the meadow's edge, Ollie spotted his friend Luna, a wise old rabbit who loved to watch the stars. Luna's fur gleamed silver in the moonlight as she nibbled on clover leaves. "Good evening, Ollie," she whispered, her voice as gentle as the evening breeze. "The night is especially peaceful today." Ollie landed softly beside Luna, his talons barely making a sound as they touched the dewy grass. Together, they watched shooting stars streak across the sky, making wishes on each one. Luna shared stories about the constellations above, speaking in soft, soothing tones that blended with the nighttime sounds. After bidding farewell to Luna, Ollie flew to the quiet pond, where water lilies floated like little boats on the mirror-smooth surface. The moon's reflection danced on the water, creating patterns of light that sparkled like countless tiny stars. A family of ducks slept peacefully among the reeds, their heads tucked under their wings. As Ollie glided over the pond, he noticed his friend Willow, the wise old tree who stood at the water's edge. Willow's branches swayed gently, creating peaceful shadows that danced on the water. Her leaves rustled softly, telling stories of countless peaceful nights just like this one. Higher and higher, Ollie soared until he could see the entire sleeping forest below. From this height, the world looked like a cozy patchwork quilt, with dark patches of trees and lighter patches of meadows. The river that wound through the forest gleamed like a silver ribbon in the moonlight. Ollie spotted other nighttime friends as he flew. Cricket, who played gentle lullabies with his legs, and Firefly, who created tiny dots of soft light that danced through the darkness. Each creature contributed to the peaceful symphony of the night, making it feel like a warm, comforting blanket had settled over the forest. As the night grew deeper, Ollie visited the ancient pine grove where the air was filled with a soothing pine scent. The tall trees swayed gently, their needles creating a soft, swooshing sound like distant ocean waves. Here, Ollie found his friend Echo, a small bat who loved to share quiet stories about the forest's dreams. Together, Ollie and Echo watched as clouds drifted lazily across the moon, creating soft shadows that moved like gentle giants across the forest floor. They spoke in hushed tones about the beauty of the night and the peace that came with darkness. As the first hints of dawn began to color the eastern sky, Ollie knew it was time to return to his cozy hollow. He said goodbye to Echo and began his journey home, gliding through the cool morning air. The stars were beginning to fade, like tiny candles being gently blown out one by one. Back in his hollow, Ollie settled onto his soft bed of downy feathers and moss. He could hear the early morning birds beginning their gentle songs, welcoming the new day. The night's peaceful adventures had left him feeling content and sleepy. As Ollie closed his eyes, he thought about all the wonderful, quiet moments he had shared with his friends. He remembered the twinkling stars, the gentle breeze, the smooth pond, and the soft grass in the meadow. Each memory was like a sweet lullaby, helping him drift into peaceful dreams. The ancient oak tree creaked softly, singing a quiet lullaby of its own. Ollie's breathing became slow and steady as sleep gently wrapped around him like a warm blanket. In his dreams, he continued to soar through star-filled skies, carrying peace and tranquility wherever his silent wings took him. And so, as the sun rose higher in the sky, Ollie slept peacefully in his cozy hollow, knowing that when night fell again, new gentle adventures would be waiting for him in the quiet forest. The day creatures went about their activities quietly, careful not to disturb the sleeping owl, who had spent his night spreading peace and calm throughout the forest. In a faraway valley, nestled between rolling hills, covered in soft, purple heather, there lived a very special dragon named Jasper. Unlike other dragons who lived in dark caves, Jasper made his home in a cozy meadow filled with fluffy dandelions and sweet-smelling lavender. His scales weren't fierce or frightening at all. They were a peaceful shade of pastel blue, like the morning sky just before sunrise. Jasper had the most peculiar habit. When he slept, which was quite often, he would snore. But his snoring wasn't loud or harsh. Instead, it sounded like gentle wind chimes dancing in a summer breeze. The soft, musical notes would float through the valley, bringing comfort to all who heard them. The woodland creatures who lived nearby had grown to love Jasper's melodic snoring. Every evening, as the sun painted the sky in soft shades of pink and gold, they would gather near his meadow. Rabbits would snuggle into the tall grass. Deer would rest their heads on patches of moss, and birds would settle into the branches of nearby trees, all waiting for Jasper's peaceful lullaby. One particularly lovely evening, as stars began to twinkle like tiny diamonds in the velvet sky, something unusual happened. Jasper, who normally slept through the night, opened his eyes. The gentle sound of his snoring faded away, and the valley fell silent. The woodland creatures stirred, wondering what had awakened their musical friend. A warm smile spread across Jasper's face as he looked around at all his friends who had gathered to listen to his sleepy songs. He had never known that his snoring brought such comfort to others. His heart felt as warm as sunshine on a spring morning. "My dear friends," Jasper whispered softly, his voice as gentle as falling flower petals. "I had no idea you enjoyed my sleeping songs so much." His eyes sparkled with joy as he gazed at the gathered animals, each one looking back at him with affection. A wise old owl named Luna glided down from her perch and landed beside Jasper. "Your songs help us all find peaceful dreams. she cooed softly. They remind us that the night is a time for rest and gentle thoughts. Jasper felt touched by Luna's words. He had always been a bit self-conscious about his snoring, but now he understood it was a gift, a way to help others find comfort and rest. As the moon rose higher in the sky, casting its silver light across the meadow, Jasper settled back down among the flowers. The woodland creatures snuggled closer, ready for their nightly ritual. Jasper closed his eyes, and soon the familiar, soothing melody of his snoring began to fill the air once again. The sound drifted through the valley like a lullaby carried on clouds. It whispered through the leaves of ancient trees, danced with the evening mist, and wrapped around each creature like a warm, cozy blanket. Some nights, when the moon was especially bright, the valley would fill with a soft, silvery glow that seemed to make Jasper's snoring even more magical. On these nights, dewdrops would gather on spider webs and flower petals, creating tiny mirrors that reflected the moonlight and made the meadow sparkle like a field of stars. As time passed, word spread about the dragon, whose snoring brought sweet dreams. Animals from distant parts of the forest would journey to Jasper's meadow, seeking the peaceful rest that his gentle songs provided. Even on the coldest winter nights, when snowflakes fell like tiny feathers from the sky, creatures would huddle together near Jasper, kept warm by his presence and lulled to sleep by his tranquil melody. Jasper learned that sometimes the things that make us different are actually our greatest gifts. His unique way of sleeping had created a special place where all creatures could find rest and comfort together. As our story draws to a close, imagine yourself in Jasper's peaceful meadow. Feel the soft grass beneath you. Listen to the gentle rhythm of his snoring floating through the air like a sweet lullaby. Let your thoughts become as light as clouds, drifting across the evening sky. The stars above twinkle their approval as Jasper's soothing song continues through the night, bringing peaceful dreams to all who hear it. And if you listen carefully, on quiet nights when the wind is still, you might just hear the gentle melody of a sleeping dragon, inviting you to join him in the land of dreams. Now close your eyes and let Jasper's peaceful song carry you to your own sweet dreams, where gentle dragons soar through soft clouds, and the moon spreads its silver light across a quiet world filled with wonder and rest. In a peaceful garden pond, where water lilies swayed ever so gently in the evening breeze, lived a little dragonfly named Luna. Her wings sparkled like moonlight on still water, and her eyes were as soft as morning dew. Luna loved to dance through the warm afternoon air, floating from flower to flower, greeting all her garden friends. As the golden sun began to sink lower in the sky, casting warm, honey-colored light across the pond, Luna felt her wings growing heavy. She had spent the whole day flitting about the garden, helping her friend the butterfly find the sweetest flowers and playing hide-and-seek with the baby tadpoles among the reeds. The evening air was growing cooler now, and Luna knew it was time to find her special sleeping place. Every night, she would search for the perfect lily pad to rest upon. It had become her favorite bedtime ritual, gliding slowly over the pond, feeling the gentle mist rising from the water. Tonight, she floated past the white water lilies, their petals closing softly for the night. She drifted by the yellow pond flowers, nodding their sleepy heads in the evening breeze. The wise old frog, Theodore, watched her from his favorite stone, his eyes twinkling kindly as she passed. "Good evening, young Luna," Theodore whispered softly. "Are you searching for your perfect bed?" Luna nodded sleepily, her wings moving more slowly now. "Remember," Theodore said in his gentle, croaking voice, "the perfect bed is the one that feels just right in your heart." Luna smiled at Theodore's words as she continued her peaceful journey across the pond. The crickets had begun their evening lullaby, a soft chorus that seemed to whisper, "Rest now, rest now." A gentle breeze carried the sweet scent of evening jasmine across the water. As she floated along, Luna noticed a lily pad she hadn't seen before. It was a lovely shade of green, not too large and not too small, with slightly curved edges that made it look like a cozy bowl. Tiny droplets of water sparkled on its surface like little stars. Luna circled the lily pad 3 times, as she always did before settling down for the night. The first circle was to check that it was sturdy enough to hold her. The second circle was to feel the softness of the pad's surface. The third circle was to listen to the gentle sounds around her new bed. Everything felt just right. The lily pad swayed ever so slightly, like a cradle being rocked by the gentlest of hands. Nearby, a family of fireflies began their evening dance, their soft lights twinkling like falling stars. Their warm glow reminded Luna of tiny night lights, making the darkness feel cozy and safe. She settled down in the center of her chosen lily pad, folding her delicate wings carefully against her body. The pad dipped slightly under her weight, creating a perfect little nest. A soft blanket of evening mist settled around her, keeping her warm and comfortable. From her cozy spot, Luna watched as the sky slowly changed colors. The bright blues faded into soft purples, then gentle pinks, and finally a deep, peaceful blue sprinkled with twinkling stars. The moon began to rise, casting a silver path across the water that seemed to lead right to Luna's lily pad. The evening sounds grew quieter and quieter. The crickets softened their song to a gentle whisper. The breeze became a soft lullaby through the reeds. Even the water beneath her lily pad seemed to move more slowly, creating a gentle rocking motion that made Luna's eyes feel heavier and heavier. Theodore the frog began humming his special nighttime song, a melody that seemed to say, "Sleep tight, sleep well. Tomorrow will bring another beautiful day." The fireflies dimmed their lights one by one, like little stars going to sleep themselves. Luna felt so peaceful on her perfect lily pad bed. Her thoughts became as soft as cotton clouds floating in a summer sky. She remembered all the kind things she had done that day, helping the butterfly, playing with the tadpoles, sharing her favorite flowers with the bees. These happy thoughts made her smile as she drifted closer to sleep. The night wrapped around her like a warm, gentle hug. Luna's breathing became slower and deeper, matching the rhythm of the tiny waves that lapped at the edge of her lily pad. Her wings, which had carried her so far during the day, now rested completely still. As Luna finally closed her eyes, she felt grateful for her cozy lily pad bed, for the peaceful pond, and for all her wonderful friends. The last thing she heard before drifting off to sleep was the soft voice of the evening breeze, whispering, "Sweet dreams, little Luna, sweet dreams." And there she slept, this drowsy little dragonfly, safe and sound on her perfect lily pad bed, while the stars twinkled overhead and the moon kept its gentle watch. The night creatures continued their soft lullaby, a peaceful symphony that seemed to say that all was well in the garden pond, and tomorrow would bring another beautiful day full of gentle adventures and sweet dreams. In a peaceful forest, where moonbeams danced softly through swaying branches, Little Fox yawned and stretched his fluffy tail. The evening stars were beginning to twinkle, casting their gentle light across the quiet woods. Little Fox felt his eyes growing heavy as he padded along the soft moss path toward home. The gentle breeze whispered sweet lullabies through the leaves, and friendly moths fluttered by like tiny floating clouds. Little Fox's den was just ahead, lined with the softest feathers and warmest moss. His mother had made it extra cozy for bedtime. Snuggling into his nest, Little Fox curled his tail around himself like a warm blanket. The forest's gentle sounds grew softer and softer. His breathing slowed, matching the peaceful rhythm of the sleeping forest. Soon, Little Fox drifted into sweet dreams, safe and warm in his cozy den. In a peaceful meadow, where wildflowers swayed softly in the evening breeze, there lived a wise old turtle named Theodore and a gentle rabbit named Luna. Theodore loved to take slow, peaceful walks through the meadow, feeling the soft grass beneath his feet, while Luna enjoyed finding cozy spots to rest among the sweet-smelling flowers. One quiet evening, as golden sunlight painted the sky in soft shades of pink and orange, Theodore discovered an old, weathered map floating on a gentle breeze. The map showed a path through their familiar meadow, leading to what it called nature's treasure. Luna hopped over curiously, her movements as gentle as falling leaves. "Shall we follow the map together, dear friend?" Theodore asked in his soft, unhurried voice. Luna nodded with a peaceful smile, and so began their gentle adventure. They agreed to walk together, sharing the journey at a comfortable pace that suited them both. The first part of their path led through a field of dandelions, their fluffy white seeds drifting lazily through the air like tiny floating stars. Theodore and Luna paused often to admire the beauty around them, watching as butterflies danced from flower to flower, their wings catching the warm evening light. As they walked, Theodore would count their steps in a soothing rhythm. 1, 2, 3, gentle and slow. 4, 5, 6, the perfect way to go. Luna found herself swaying to the peaceful rhythm of Theodore's counting, feeling more relaxed with each step they took. The path then guided them into a quiet forest, where tall trees created a canopy of softly rustling leaves overhead. Patches of moonlight filtered through the branches, creating pools of silver light on the forest floor. The air was filled with the gentle sound of crickets beginning their evening song. "Listen to the forest lullaby," whispered Luna, her long ears swaying gently in the cool evening breeze. Theodore smiled, taking in the peaceful symphony of nature around them. They passed by sleeping flowers that were closing their petals for the night, and saw stars beginning to twinkle through the leaves above. Following the map, they came to a small stream where water trickled over smooth stones, creating a melody that seemed to sing them to sleep. They paused here to rest, watching the water's gentle dance in the moonlight. Theodore showed Luna how to breathe slowly and deeply, just like the rhythm of the flowing stream. As they continued their journey, they found themselves walking through a grove of lavender, its sweet scent filling the air with drowsy contentment. Fireflies began to appear, their soft lights blinking like tiny lanterns guiding their way. Luna and Theodore took turns counting the fireflies, their numbers becoming jumbled as they felt more and more relaxed. The map led them to the top of a small, grassy hill, where they could see the entire meadow bathed in moonlight. "Look, Theodore said softly, pointing to something gleaming in the grass. There, nestled among the flowers, was a crystal that captured the moonlight and scattered it in rainbow colors. But as they gazed at the crystal, they realized something wonderful. The true treasure wasn't the crystal itself, but the peaceful journey they had shared. The quiet moments of friendship, the gentle discoveries, and the soothing sounds of nature had been the real gift all along. Luna curled up next to Theodore, feeling safe and content. Sometimes the slowest journeys bring the sweetest dreams, she murmured sleepily. Theodore nodded, his eyes growing heavy as he watched the stars twinkle above. Together, they decided to make this hilltop their special place. Every evening, they would return to watch the sunset and count the stars as they appeared, one by one, in the velvet sky. Sometimes they would remember their gentle treasure hunt, but mostly they would simply enjoy the peace of being together. As the moon rose higher in the sky, casting its soft silver light over the meadow, Theodore and Luna felt their eyes growing heavier. The evening breeze sang a quiet lullaby through the grass, and the fireflies danced their slow, peaceful dance around them. The two friends found that the greatest treasure of all was the peaceful feeling in their hearts, knowing they had each other to share quiet evenings with. As they drifted off to sleep on their hilltop under a blanket of stars, they knew that sometimes the most precious things couldn't be found on any map. They were the gentle moments shared between true friends. And so, Theodore and Luna slept peacefully on their hilltop, surrounded by the soft sounds of the night, while the moon watched over them with its gentle silver smile. The crystal beside them caught the starlight and scattered tiny rainbows around them, like sweet dreams taking flight on silent wings. In a peaceful meadow, where soft grass swayed in the evening breeze, there lived two very different friends, a tortoise named Theodore and a hare named Henry. Theodore loved taking slow, peaceful walks as the sun began to set, while Henry usually preferred to hop and skip through his days. But on this particular evening, something wonderful was about to happen. The air was warm and sweet with the scent of wildflowers, and fluffy clouds drifted lazily across the sky, like cotton balls floating in a sea of soft blue. Theodore was just beginning his evening walk when he spotted Henry sitting quietly under an old oak tree, looking thoughtful. "Good evening, Henry," Theodore said in his gentle voice. "Would you like to join me for a peaceful walk? The evening is so beautiful." Henry looked up at his friend with a soft smile, and for the first time, he didn't feel the urge to rush around. "I would love that, Theodore," Henry replied softly. "I've been thinking that maybe it would be nice to slow down and notice all the lovely things around us." Theodore's eyes crinkled with joy as Henry hopped over to join him. Together, they began their walk along a winding path through the meadow. Theodore showed Henry how to pause and notice the little wonders they passed. They watched as butterflies danced among the flowers, their wings painted in gentle shades of purple and blue. The friends stopped to admire how the evening light made the dewdrops sparkle like tiny stars on the grass. As they walked, Theodore and Henry discovered that moving slowly allowed them to see so many beautiful things they had never noticed before. They saw a family of mice making their cozy nest with soft pieces of grass and downy feathers. They watched as a gentle breeze made the flowers bow and sway in a peaceful dance. "Listen," Theodore whispered as they paused beneath a willow tree. Can you hear the lullaby of the evening? Henry closed his eyes and listened. He could hear the soft rustling of leaves, the quiet chirping of crickets beginning their evening song, and the gentle murmur of a nearby stream. The two friends continued their walk as the sky began to change colors. Soft pink and purple clouds floated overhead, and the first stars began to twinkle. A mother bird flew overhead, heading back to her nest, where her babies waited, cozy and warm. Theodore and Henry came to a peaceful pond where water lilies floated like little boats on the surface. The water reflected the sky like a mirror, making it seem as though they were walking through the stars themselves. A family of ducks glided silently across the water, creating gentle ripples that spread out in perfect circles. "I never knew walking slowly could be so wonderful," Henry said softly, watching as a firefly drifted past, its gentle light blinking like a tiny lantern. Theodore smiled warmly at his friend. "Sometimes the most beautiful things can only be seen when we take our time," he replied. As they walked, the evening grew softer and quieter. The moon rose like a silver pearl in the darkening sky, casting a gentle glow over the meadow. More fireflies began to appear, twinkling like earthbound stars among the grass and flowers. They passed beneath trees where owls were just awakening, their soft hooting adding to the evening's peaceful symphony. The friends watched as bats flew gracefully overhead, their wings making no sound as they danced through the twilight air. The path led them through a grove of ancient trees, their branches reaching up to the star-filled sky like gentle guardians. Moss grew soft and thick beneath their feet, making each step feel like walking on clouds. The air was filled with the sweet scent of night-blooming flowers. As the evening deepened, Theodore and Henry found themselves walking closer together, sharing the peaceful quiet of the night. They didn't need to speak much now. They simply enjoyed each other's company and the gentle beauty around them. They came to a small clearing carpeted with soft grass and surrounded by nodding flowers. "This seems like a perfect place to rest," Theodore suggested gently. Henry agreed, and they settled down together, looking up at the stars that now filled the sky like scattered diamond dust. The night air grew cooler, but it was still gentle and sweet. Crickets chirped their lullaby, and a soft breeze carried the scent of lavender and chamomile. Henry found himself yawning, feeling more peaceful than he had ever felt before. "Thank you for showing me how to slow down and enjoy the evening," Henry whispered to his friend. Theodore smiled softly. "And thank you for being such wonderful company," he replied. As they rested together in the clearing, they watched the stars twinkle and the moon sail slowly across the sky. The gentle sounds of the night wrapped around them like a warm blanket, and they felt completely at peace. The two friends stayed there, sharing the quiet joy of the evening, until their eyes grew heavy with sleep. They knew that this peaceful walk had changed something between them, creating a deeper friendship built on sharing life's gentle moments. And as the night grew deeper and the moon continued its quiet journey across the star-filled sky, Theodore and Henry drifted off to sleep, knowing that sometimes the most precious moments come when we learn to slow down and appreciate the peaceful beauty that surrounds us. High in the tallest oak tree of the peaceful forest, where the evening breeze whispered soft secrets to the leaves, lived a loving mother bird and her 3 precious chicks. Their nest was woven with the softest down feathers, delicate twigs, and wisps of cotton that had drifted on gentle spring breezes. As the golden sun began to sink behind the distant purple mountains, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and lavender, Mommy Bird knew it was time for her little ones to settle down for sleep. The day had been filled with gentle adventures, learning to stretch their tiny wings, watching clouds drift by, and listening to the forest's peaceful songs. "My darling little ones," Mommy Bird cooed softly. "The stars are beginning to twinkle, and the moon is rising round and bright. It's time for all sleepy chicks to rest their weary wings." She gathered her babies close, tucking them beneath her warm feathers as the evening air grew cool and still. Little Robin, the oldest chick, nestled closer to his mother. "But the sky is so pretty, Mommy," he whispered, his eyes heavy with sleep, yet trying to stay open. Beside him, his sister Luna yawned a tiny yawn, while the youngest Pip was already snuggling deeper into the cozy nest. Mommy Bird smiled tenderly at her precious chicks. "Would you like to hear the special bedtime song that my mother once sang to me?" she asked, her voice as soft as moonlight on water. The little ones nodded sleepily, their eyes growing heavier with each passing moment. And so, Mommy Bird began to sing, her voice carrying on the evening breeze like flower petals dancing in the air. "Sleep, my little nestlings, safe and warm tonight, while the gentle moon above keeps watch with silver light. Dream of morning sunshine, dream of summer skies, while the stars above you twinkle lullabies." As she sang, the forest seemed to grow quieter, as if nature itself was listening to her soothing melody. The evening flowers closed their petals, and the crickets chirped softly in harmony with her song. Even the old oak tree seemed to cradle the nest more gently in its strong branches. "The day's adventures are done, my loves," she continued, her voice growing softer. "Each moment we shared today is tucked safely in our hearts, like precious seeds that grow into beautiful memories. Tomorrow will bring new gentle discoveries, but now is the time for rest and sweet dreams." Luna's eyes fluttered as she fought sleep just a little longer. "Tell us about tomorrow, Mommy," she murmured. Mommy Bird stroked her daughter's downy head with her wing, her touch as light as a cloud shadow passing over the grass. "Tomorrow the morning will wake us with golden light," she whispered. "The sun will warm our feathers, and the breeze will carry songs of joy. But for now, let's float on dreams as soft as cloud wings, letting our thoughts drift like leaves on a gentle stream." Pip was already breathing deeply, tiny wing twitches showing he was dreaming of future flights. Robin's eyes were now fully closed, a peaceful smile on his small beak. Only Luna remained barely awake, watching the first stars appear through heavy eyelids. Mommy Bird continued her gentle song, weaving words of comfort and love into the quiet night air. "Rest your tired wings, my darlings, safe within our nest. While the moon sails overhead, your dreams will be blessed. Every leaf and flower nods. Every creature knows it's time for baby birds to sleep while evening's garden grows." The night grew deeper, wrapping the forest in its velvet embrace. Fireflies began their gentle dance among the branches, their soft lights twinkling like earthbound stars. A warm breeze carried the sweet scent of night-blooming jasmine, adding its peaceful perfume to the evening's lullaby. "The forest is preparing for sleep," Mommy Bird cooed, her voice becoming ever softer. Listen to the quiet rustle of leaves, the gentle sighing of the wind. every creature is finding its way to dreamland, just as you are, my precious ones. Now, Luna's eyes finally closed, joining her brothers in peaceful slumber. Mummy Bird looked down at her sleeping chicks with infinite tenderness, her heart full of love. She continued her gentle song, her voice barely more than a whisper now. Sleep deeply, my treasures, while night spreads its wings. Dream sweetly of morning and all that it brings. Know that you are loved, safe in your cozy nest, while the moon keeps watch over your peaceful rest. The night deepened further, and still Mommy Bird sang, her soft melody joining the cricket's lullaby and the owl's gentle hooting in the distance. The stars twinkled their approval as her songs filled the darkness with comfort and peace. Tomorrow will come with new songs to sing, new winds to ride, and new joys to discover, she whispered to her sleeping chicks. But now is the time for rest, for gathering strength, for drifting in dreams as soft as cloud shadows on meadow grass. And as the moon climbed higher in the velvet sky, Mommy Bird settled more comfortably in the nest, spreading her wings protectively over her sleeping family. Her song grew fainter and fainter, becoming one with the night's peaceful symphony, until it was just a gentle humming that blended with the whisper of leaves and the sighing of the wind. The forest settled into its nighttime peace, every creature finding its own sweet dreams. And in the tallest oak tree, in a nest woven with love, a mother bird watched over her sleeping chicks, her heart full of gratitude for these precious moments of peace and togetherness. On a peaceful summer evening, as the sun slowly dipped below the horizon and the first stars began to twinkle in the twilight sky, three friends gathered in a quiet meadow at the edge of the whispering forest. There was Winston, the wise old turtle, who carried his cozy home upon his back. Rosie, the soft-furred rabbit, whose gentle hops made hardly a sound in the dewy grass. And Chester, the cheerful chipmunk, whose tiny paws left the lightest of footprints wherever he went. The moon rose full and bright above them, casting a silvery glow across the meadow and making the evening dewdrops sparkle like tiny diamonds. The three friends often met here to share stories and watch the fireflies dance, but tonight was different. They had decided to have a special moonlit walk together through their favorite parts of the forest. Winston smiled softly as he suggested they make their nighttime journey into a gentle race, not to see who was fastest, but to enjoy all the wonderful things each of them might discover along the way. Rosie's nose twitched thoughtfully as she agreed, and Chester's eyes sparkled with quiet excitement. The path they would follow wound through the sleeping forest, past the ancient oak tree, around the smooth pebbled stream, and back to their meadow. As they prepared to begin, a warm summer breeze rustled through the leaves above, carrying the sweet scent of honeysuckle and night-blooming jasmine. They began their journey as the moon climbed higher in the velvet sky. Winston moved slowly but steadily, pausing to admire the silver moonlight filtering through the leaves. He noticed how the shadows made beautiful patterns on the forest floor, like a peaceful dance of light and darkness. Rosie hopped gently along another path, stopping here and there to observe the nodding flowers that only opened their petals at night. She watched as moths with wings, soft as whispers, fluttered among the blooms. And she listened to the quiet song of crickets hidden in the tall grass. Chester chose his own winding way, his movements calm and peaceful as he explored the nighttime world. He discovered patches of soft moss that felt like tiny cushions beneath his paws, and he counted the stars that peeked through gaps in the forest canopy. As they journeyed through the forest, each friend found something special to treasure. Winston came upon an ancient fallen log covered in glowing mushrooms that lit his way like tiny lanterns. He paused to watch their gentle light pulse in the darkness, feeling the calm of the forest settle around him like a comfortable blanket. Rosie discovered a hidden meadow filled with moonflowers, their white petals glowing softly in the starlight. She rested there for a while, breathing in their sweet fragrance and listening to the distant call of a gentle night bird singing its lullaby to the forest. Chester found a quiet stream where the moonlight danced on the water like scattered silver coins. He sat on a smooth stone by the water's edge, letting the peaceful sound of the flowing water soothe his tired paws. As the night deepened, none of the friends worried about who was ahead or behind. Instead, they each enjoyed the peaceful journey at their own perfect pace. The forest wrapped them in its gentle embrace, while the moon watched over them like a caring friend. When they finally made their way back to their starting point in the meadow, they found they had all arrived at exactly the same moment. But instead of thinking about who might have been fastest, they shared stories of the wonderful things they had seen along their way. Winston told them about the glowing mushrooms that had lit his path, his voice soft and slow, like the gentle movement of clouds across the moon. Rosie described the moonflower meadow, her words floating as lightly as flower petals on the evening breeze. Chester spoke of the musical stream and the dancing moonlight, his quiet voice mixing with the peaceful sounds of the nighttime forest. As they sat together in the moonlit meadow, they realized that their gentle race had given them something far more precious than winning. It had shown them new wonders in their familiar forest home and brought them even closer as friends. The moon smiled down at the three friends as they curled up together in the soft grass, tired but happy from their peaceful adventure. Winston rested his head on his front legs. Rosie snuggled against his shell, and Chester found a cozy spot between them. As sleep began to settle over them like a soft, warm blanket, they agreed that sometimes the very best way to have a race was to take your time, notice the beauty around you, and share the journey with friends. The stars twinkled softly overhead as they drifted off to sleep, their dreams filled with moonlight, friendship, and the gentle magic of their nighttime adventure. The forest watched over them as they slept, its peaceful sounds creating a tender lullaby. The crickets chirped their quiet song. The leaves whispered ancient stories in the breeze, and the moon continued its slow journey across the star-filled sky, casting its gentle light over the three sleeping friends who had discovered that the sweetest victory of all was finding peace together under the stars. Deep beneath the soft earth, where the soil was warm and gentle, lived a very special mole named Morris. Morris wasn't just any mole. He was known throughout the underground world as Mechanic Mole, the kindest and most helpful creature who had ever dug a tunnel. His whiskers were long and silvery, and his velvet fur was the color of rich chocolate pudding. Morris had spent many peaceful years creating something wonderful, a network of cozy underground tunnels, complete with a very special tram that helped tired animals travel from one place to another. The tram was painted in soft blues and gentle greens, with cushioned seats as soft as clouds, and windows that showed the sparkling roots of ancient trees. Every evening, as the sun began to set in the world above, Morris would prepare his beloved tram for its nightly journey. He would dust each seat with his softest brush, adjust the warm amber lights until they glowed like gentle fireflies, and ensure that every blanket was perfectly folded for any sleepy passengers who might need them. The tram would start its journey at the old oak station, where the roots of a 1,000-year-old oak tree curved overhead like a natural cathedral. Tonight, as Morris prepared for departure, his first passengers arrived, a family of drowsy field mice, their tiny paws holding acorn cups filled with warm chamomile tea. "Welcome, welcome," Morris whispered softly, helping them onto the tram. "Please make yourselves comfortable." The mice settled into the cushioned seats, wrapping themselves in the soft blankets Morris provided. Their little eyes grew heavy as they sipped their tea, feeling the gentle warmth of the underground air. Next came Mrs. Badger, who always rode the tram on her way home from her evening storytelling sessions with the young rabbits. She carried a basket of lavender and would share sprigs with other passengers, filling the tram with its soothing scent. "Thank you, dear Morris," she would say each time, settling into her favorite seat near the back. As the tram began its gentle journey through the tunnels, Morris would hum soft, peaceful tunes. The tram would sway ever so slightly, like a cradle being rocked by loving hands. Through the windows, passengers could see the occasional gleam of crystal formations and the soft phosphorescent glow of friendly fungi that lined the tunnel walls. The tram had special stops along the way. There was Willow Creek Station, where the roots of weeping willows created curtains of natural lace. Then came Mushroom Meadow Stop, where clusters of luminous mushrooms cast a dreamy blue light across the platform. Each stop was more peaceful than the last, and some passengers would be gently dozing by the time they reached their destination. One of Morris's favorite parts of the journey was passing through the Crystal Cave section, where tiny drops of water would catch the tram's soft light and create a symphony of twinkling stars all around them. Young ones would watch with wonder as their eyes grew heavier and heavier, lulled by the gentle motion of the tram. Morris took special care with his sleepiest passengers. He would slow the tram down even more when passing through particularly cozy stretches of tunnel and ensure that the motion was as smooth as floating on a calm pond. Sometimes he would tell quiet stories about the tunnels, how each one was carefully dug with love and patience, how the earth itself seemed to help by being extra soft in just the right places. The night would deepen, and the tram would continue its peaceful journey. Sometimes a gentle rain would fall above ground, and the passengers could hear the soft pitter-patter filtering down through layers of earth, creating a peaceful lullaby. The sound would mix with the gentle humming of the tram's wheels and the soft breathing of sleepy passengers. On this particular night, as the tram made its way through the quietest part of the tunnel network, a young rabbit named Benjamin was fighting to keep his eyes open. He wanted to see everything, but the gentle swaying of the tram and the warm, cozy atmosphere were making his eyelids very heavy indeed. Morris noticed and smiled kindly, adjusting Benjamin's blanket with a gentle paw. The last stop was always Honeysuckle Haven, where the sweet scent of flowers drifted down from above through tiny gaps in the earth. Here, the remaining passengers would slowly wake if they had been dozing, gathering their belongings with sleepy smiles. Morris would help each one step carefully onto the platform, ensuring everyone made it safely to their destination. As the night drew to a close, Morris would park his beloved tram in its special resting place, a cozy tunnel lined with soft moss and illuminated by the gentlest of glowworm lights. He would check each seat one last time, straighten any crooked blankets, and feel grateful for another peaceful night of helping his woodland friends travel in comfort. And as Morris made his own way home to his snug burrow, he would think about all the lovely passengers he had helped that evening. He knew that somewhere above and below the ground, many creatures were drifting off to sleep, perhaps dreaming of their gentle journey through his peaceful tunnels. The thought made him smile as he too prepared for rest, curling up in his own soft bed, already looking forward to tomorrow's tranquil travels through his beloved underground world. In a peaceful forest where the moonlight painted silver patterns on the ground, there lived a wise old owl named Luna. She had the softest feathers that glowed like starlight, and her golden eyes held all the warmth of summer evenings. Every night, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars began to twinkle, Luna would awaken and prepare for her special evening ritual. Luna loved nothing more than sharing her gentle songs with all the woodland creatures who needed help falling asleep. Her voice was as soft as falling leaves and as soothing as gentle rain upon moss-covered stones. Each evening, she would spread her wings and glide silently through the forest, watching over her friends as they prepared for their nightly rest. On this particular evening, the moon was especially bright, casting a peaceful glow through the whispering leaves. Luna noticed her friend Benjamin, a young rabbit, still hopping about in the clover meadow. His eyes were wide, and his little nose twitched with leftover energy from the day. Luna floated down beside him, her wings making no sound as she landed on a nearby log. "Why are you still awake, little Benjamin?" Luna asked in her gentle, musical voice. "The crickets have already begun their evening lullaby." Benjamin's ears drooped slightly as he looked up at his wise friend. "I just can't seem to feel sleepy, Luna. The day was so wonderful. I don't want it to end." Luna smiled softly, understanding in her golden eyes. "The night has its own special magic," she whispered. "Would you like to hear about it?" Benjamin nodded eagerly, settling himself in the soft clover as Luna began to sing her special nighttime song. Her melody told of stars dancing in velvet skies, of moonbeams playing hide and seek between silver clouds, and of gentle breezes carrying sweet dreams to sleeping creatures. As she sang, other forest animals began to gather around. There was Sophie the squirrel, who had been restlessly arranging her acorns, and Oliver the young deer, whose eyes were already becoming heavy with sleep. Luna's song painted pictures of peaceful places in their minds. She sang of soft moss beds and warm burrows, of quiet streams flowing under starlight, and of friendly shadows that kept watch over sleeping friends. Her voice carried the essence of peace itself, like a warm blanket settling over the forest. As she continued her gentle song, Benjamin's hopping slowed, and he snuggled deeper into the clover. Sophie's busy paws became still, and Oliver's head nodded gently. Luna sang of the moon's gentle journey across the night sky, of how it watched over all the sleeping creatures below with its silver light. The wind joined Luna's song, rustling through the leaves with a soft whisper. The crickets added their gentle harmony, and even the stars seemed to twinkle in time with her melody. She sang of the peace that comes with nightfall, of how the forest holds its creatures safe and warm as they dream. Luna's song told of tomorrow's promises, of new adventures waiting after restful sleep, and of how the night wrapped everything in its gentle embrace. She reminded her friends that sleep was a beautiful gift, a time when their bodies could rest and their minds could dream of wonderful things. As her song continued, Luna noticed how Benjamin's breathing had become slow and steady, how Sophie had curled up into a fluffy ball, and how Oliver had found a soft bed of leaves beneath an old oak tree. Still, she kept singing, her voice growing softer and softer. She sang of peaceful gardens, where flowers nodded their sleepy heads, of quiet ponds, where water lilies dreamed beneath the stars, and of gentle clouds that drifted like soft sheep across the night sky. Her song carried messages of comfort and safety, reminding every creature that they were protected under the watchful eyes of the moon and stars. The night grew deeper, and Luna's song became as soft as falling snow. She sang of sweet dreams floating on moonbeams, of starlight tucking in each sleeping creature, and of how the night held them all in its gentle arms. Her melody wrapped around them like a cozy blanket, keeping them warm and safe until morning. As the last notes of her song floated away on the evening breeze, Luna looked around at her sleeping friends with satisfaction. Benjamin was curled up in a ball of soft fur, his ears gently twitching as he dreamed. Sophie's tail was wrapped around her like a fluffy blanket, and Oliver's breath came in peaceful sighs. Luna spread her wings and silently glided up to her favorite branch, where she could watch over her sleeping friends. The moon smiled down at the peaceful scene, its gentle light making everything glow with silver magic. The stars twinkled their approval, and the night wrapped everything in its soft, dark blanket. And as Luna settled onto her branch, she too began to feel sleepy. The forest was quiet now, filled only with the gentle sounds of peaceful breathing and soft cricket songs. She closed her golden eyes, knowing that tomorrow evening she would again share her special songs with her friends, helping them find their way to sweet dreams and peaceful sleep. The night continued its gentle journey, carrying all the sleeping creatures in its arms. And if you listened very carefully, you might still hear the echo of Luna's lullaby, floating on the evening breeze, bringing peaceful dreams to all. In a cozy burrow beneath an ancient oak tree lived a small bunny named Luna. Her soft gray fur was as fluffy as dandelion seeds, and her ears were as gentle and pink as spring flower petals. Each evening, as the sun painted the sky in soft shades of lavender and gold, Luna would wiggle her tiny nose and breathe in the sweet forest air. One peaceful evening, as the first stars began to twinkle above the treetops, Luna noticed something magical. The forest seemed different, bathed in a gentle silver light that made everything sparkle like morning dew. The moon was full and round, casting a soft glow through the leaves that danced slowly in the evening breeze. Luna hopped out of her burrow, her paws landing softly on the cool grass. The moss beneath her feet felt like the softest blanket, and the evening air wrapped around her like a warm hug. She watched as fireflies began to emerge, their gentle lights floating through the air like tiny stars that had come down to play among the trees. As she ventured further into the moonlit forest, Luna discovered a beautiful meadow filled with flowers that seemed to glow in the moonlight. Blue forget-me-nots nodded their sleepy heads, while white clover flowers released their sweet, honey scent into the night air. Luna gently touched each flower with her nose, taking in their soothing fragrance. A wise old owl named Oliver watched from his perch in a nearby tree. His feathers were as soft as clouds, and his golden eyes held all the warmth of sunset. "Good evening, little one," he cooed softly. "Are you enjoying the magic of the night garden?" His voice was as gentle as falling leaves. Luna nodded, feeling completely safe in the presence of the kind owl. "Everything looks so different in the moonlight," she whispered. "It's as if the forest has put on its silver pajamas and is getting ready for sleep." Oliver smiled, his eyes twinkling like stars. Together, they watched as other nighttime friends began to emerge. A family of deer stepped quietly through the meadow, their movements as fluid as flowing water. Little field mice scurried softly through the grass, gathering seeds for their bedtime snack. Even the crickets seemed to play a special lullaby, their gentle chirping mixing with the soft rustling of leaves. As Luna explored, she found a small stream that trickled through the meadow. The water moved so slowly and peacefully that it looked like liquid moonlight. She sat beside it, watching the tiny ripples make patterns that reminded her of sweet dreams dancing on the surface. A gentle breeze carried the scent of sleepy flowers and fresh pine needles. Luna's eyelids began to feel heavy as she listened to the stream's quiet song. Oliver glided down from his branch and settled nearby, his presence as comforting as a favorite bedtime story. "Would you like to hear about the moon's secret garden?" Oliver asked, his voice barely louder than a whisper. Luna nodded sleepily as she nestled into a patch of soft moss. The owl began to tell her about how the moon tends to her garden of stars each night, planting dreams that bloom in the hearts of sleeping forest creatures. As Oliver spoke, Luna watched the moonflowers slowly open their petals, releasing their sweet nighttime perfume. Each blossom seemed to hold a different dream within its silvery center. Some held dreams of floating on clouds, others of dancing with butterflies, and some of snuggling in warm burrows with loved ones. The night grew deeper, and Luna's adventures began to wind down like a gentle lullaby coming to its end. She felt peaceful and content, knowing it was time to return to her cozy home. Oliver offered to guide her back, floating silently above her as she hopped along the moonlit path. When they reached her burrow, Luna turned to thank her new friend. "Will I see you again?" she asked with a sleepy smile. Oliver nodded gently. "The night garden welcomes all dreamers, little one. Sweet dreams await you whenever you wish to visit." Luna snuggled into her soft bed of dried grass and flower petals, feeling warm and safe. She could still hear the crickets' lullaby and the whisper of the breeze through the leaves. As her eyes grew heavy, she remembered all the peaceful moments of her adventure: the glowing flowers, the trickling stream, and the gentle presence of her new friend Oliver. The moon continued to shine her silver light through the entrance of Luna's burrow, creating patterns that danced softly on the walls, like sweet dreams coming to life. Luna's breathing became slow and steady, matching the peaceful rhythm of the sleeping forest. She drifted off to sleep, carrying the magic of the night garden in her heart, knowing that peaceful adventures and gentle dreams would always be waiting for her beneath the smiling moon. As the night deepened, the forest settled into its own peaceful slumber. The flowers closed their petals, the crickets softened their song, and even the stars seemed to twinkle more slowly. Luna slept soundly in her cozy burrow, dreaming of moonlit meadows and the gentle wisdom of her friend Oliver, while the forest watched over her with its quiet, loving presence. In a peaceful garden where flowers nodded softly in the evening breeze, there lived a small white rabbit named Cotton and a wise old turtle named Sage. The garden was their special place, filled with tall, swaying grass that whispered gentle secrets, and sweet-smelling lavender that helped everyone feel calm and peaceful. Cotton the rabbit loved to hop among the flowers, his soft white fur catching the golden light of sunset. Sage the turtle enjoyed taking slow, peaceful walks through the garden paths, admiring each flower and leaf along the way. They were the very best of friends, even though they moved at different speeds. One quiet evening, as purple shadows began to stretch across the garden, Cotton had a wonderful idea. "Dear friend Sage," he said softly, "would you like to play a gentle game of hide and seek?" Sage smiled warmly at his energetic friend and nodded slowly. "That sounds lovely," he replied in his calm, peaceful voice. Cotton offered to be the seeker first. He settled himself beneath a large, friendly oak tree and began to count slowly and steadily. 1, 2, 3. He counted, while Sage moved unhurriedly through the garden. The evening air was sweet with the scent of jasmine, and somewhere nearby, a dove cooed softly. Sage walked thoughtfully through the garden, considering all the peaceful places where he might rest. He passed the pond, where water lilies floated like tiny boats on the still surface. He wandered by the rose bushes, their petals closing gently for the night. Finally, he found the perfect spot behind a patch of tall, soft grasses that swayed like dancers in the evening breeze. When Cotton finished counting, he opened his eyes and looked around the tranquil garden. The setting sun painted everything in soft shades of gold and pink. He hopped quietly along the path, his ears swaying gently as he moved. Where could Sage be? He wondered softly to himself. Cotton looked behind the old stone wall, where moss grew in thick, velvet patches. He peeked beneath the branches of the weeping willow tree, whose leaves draped down like a curtain of green rain. He checked near the butterfly bush, where the last few butterflies of the day were settling down to rest. As he searched, Cotton noticed so many peaceful things he hadn't seen before. He saw a family of sleepy birds nestling into their cozy nest. He spotted dewdrops beginning to form on spider webs that sparkled like strings of tiny stars. He heard the gentle rustle of leaves in the evening breeze, making a soft lullaby. Finally, Cotton approached the patch of tall grasses. Moving very quietly, he saw the outline of his friend's shell among the green stems. "I found you, Sage," he whispered with a gentle smile. Sage emerged slowly, looking peaceful and content. "What a lovely hiding spot you found," Cotton said softly. Now it was Sage's turn to seek. Cotton watched as his friend made his way to the counting tree, moving with slow, steady steps. Sage began to count in his deep, calming voice, and Cotton hopped away to hide, being careful not to rush or make sudden movements. Cotton found a cozy spot beneath a flowering bush, where soft petals dropped down like snow around him. He could smell the sweet perfume of the flowers and feel the cool earth beneath his paws. As he waited, He watched the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky, twinkling like gentle night lights. Sage moved through the garden with peaceful purpose, taking time to appreciate every detail along his way. He noticed how the evening primrose was opening its yellow petals to greet the moon. He paused to watch a gentle breeze make the flowers dance. He smiled at the sight of fireflies beginning to float through the air like tiny drifting stars. As Sage searched, he remembered all of Cotton's favorite places in the garden. He checked the herb patch, where the mint and thyme released their soothing scents into the evening air. He looked near the old garden bench, where they often sat together to watch the sunset. He peered behind the stone bird bath, where morning doves came to splash and play. Eventually, Sage's patient searching led him to the flowering bush. There he found Cotton, curled up comfortably among the fallen petals. "Found you, dear friend," Sage said softly, his voice as gentle as the evening itself. Cotton emerged with a peaceful smile, covered in soft pink petals that made him look like a flower himself. As the night grew deeper and the moon rose higher, Cotton and Sage sat together on their favorite garden bench. They watched as more and more stars appeared in the velvet sky, and fireflies danced like floating dreams around them. The garden was filled with the gentle sounds of crickets singing their evening lullaby. "Thank you for playing with me, Sage," Cotton whispered, feeling warm and content beside his friend. "Sometimes the slowest games are the most wonderful." Sage nodded wisely. "And sometimes," he added in his soothing voice, "taking time to move slowly helps us see the most beautiful things." As the night wrapped its gentle arms around the garden, Cotton and Sage made their way to their homes. Cotton to his soft burrow lined with downy feathers and flower petals, and Sage to his cozy shelter beneath the old oak tree. They both fell asleep feeling peaceful and happy, knowing that sometimes the quietest moments with friends are the most special of all. The garden settled into its nighttime peace, with flowers nodding their sleepy heads and stars twinkling their gentle light. And if you listened very carefully, you might hear the soft whisper of the evening breeze, telling the story of a rabbit and turtle who knew that the best games are played with gentle hearts and peaceful spirits. In a peaceful forest where the evening light turned everything soft and golden, there lived a tiny bluebird named Luna. She was known throughout the woodland for having the most gentle and soothing voice anyone had ever heard. Each evening, as the sun began to set and the first stars appeared in the lavender sky, Luna would perch on her favorite branch and prepare for her special evening ritual. Luna's feathers were as soft as morning mist, and her eyes sparkled like dewdrops in the moonlight. She had learned her special bedtime song from her grandmother, who had learned it from her grandmother before her. It was a melody as old as the ancient oak trees and as gentle as falling flower petals. As twilight settled over the forest, Luna noticed how the evening breeze carried the sweet scent of honeysuckle and jasmine. She watched as fireflies began their slow, peaceful dance among the ferns below. The moon rose higher in the sky, casting its silver light through the leaves, creating patterns that looked like lace on the forest floor. "Time to help everyone rest," Luna whispered to herself, fluffing her feathers and taking a deep, calm breath. She began to sing her special lullaby, her voice as soft as falling snow. Moonbeams soft and starlight bright guide us gently through the night. Below her branch, a family of rabbits snuggled closer together in their burrow, their eyes growing heavy as Luna's song floated down to them. Dream of meadows sweet and fair, gentle breezes in the air, she continued, her melody wrapping around them like a warm blanket. In a nearby hollow, a young deer named Maple rested his head on a bed of moss, listening to Luna's soothing voice. The song reminded him of warm summer afternoons and the gentle touch of his mother's nose against his fur. His eyelids began to feel wonderfully heavy. A family of mice, curled up in their nest, made of soft grass and downy feathers, sighed contentedly as Luna's song drifted through their home. Floating clouds and silver streams carry you to peaceful dreams, she sang, her voice becoming even softer. High in the branches, baby squirrels nestled closer to their mother, their busy day of gathering acorns fading into sweet drowsiness. Luna's song touched every corner of the forest, like gentle moonlight spreading through the trees. Flowers nodding, day is done, stars are twinkling, one by one, Luna continued, watching as more fireflies joined the peaceful dance below. Their light grew dimmer and dimmer as they too began to feel sleepy. A wise old owl who usually stayed awake at night found himself swaying gently to Luna's lullaby. Even he couldn't resist the peaceful feeling that came with her song. Rest your head and close your eyes beneath the velvet evening skies. The night flowers slowly closed their petals, and the evening primrose released its sweet perfume into the air. Luna's voice became as gentle as a cloud passing across the moon. Whispered wishes, dreams so deep, guide you softly off to sleep. As she sang, Luna noticed how the forest seemed to breathe together, rising and falling in perfect harmony. The leaves moved slower in the evening breeze, and even the stream seemed to quiet its bubbling to listen to her song. Night after night, Luna shared her gift with the forest. Sometimes young animals would ask her where she learned her special lullaby. She would smile gently and tell them about the long line of singing birds in her family, each one passing down the gift of peaceful sleep to the next generation. Every creature needs good rest, Luna would say softly, just as every flower needs the dew and every tree needs the moonlight. Her wisdom was as gentle as her song, helping everyone understand the importance of peaceful sleep. As her lullaby continued, Luna watched the moon climb higher in the sky. Drifting softly, free from care, evening peace is everywhere, she sang, her voice becoming as soft as moth wings. The stars twinkled above like tiny guardian lights, watching over all the sleeping creatures below. The night grew deeper, and Luna's song became slower and more peaceful. Moonlight whispers, starlight gleams, float away on gentle dreams, she sang, her voice barely more than a whisper now. Even the crickets slowed their evening song to match her gentle rhythm. One by one, the forest creatures drifted into peaceful sleep, wrapped in the comfort of Luna's lullaby. The rabbits dreamed of sweet clover, the deer of sunny meadows, and the mice of warm nests and tender seeds. As the night grew still and quiet, Luna's song became softer and softer, like falling feathers or drifting snowflakes. Sleep now peaceful, safe, and sound, while the moon watches all around, she sang, her voice merging with the gentle night sounds. Finally, when every creature was sleeping soundly, Luna would sing the last notes of her lullaby, as soft as starlight on water. Until morning light appears, sweet dreams to all my woodland dears. Then she would tuck her head under her wing, surrounded by the peaceful night she had helped create. And so, night after night, season after season, Luna shared her gift of peaceful sleep with all her forest friends. Her gentle song became part of the forest itself, as natural as the rising moon, and as comforting as a mother's embrace. In the heart of the peaceful woodland, under the watchful stars, all was calm, all was quiet, and all was well.